Hi, it's Jane with Scraptastic Yarns Podcast. Today is my regular podcast. Normally I do it on Tuesdays, but I was busy last Tuesday with a trip over to Hoover's Bernina store where we did the embroidery with the machines. So I'm doing it today. Today is Thursday. I'm coming to you from Lock Haven, Pennsylvania. And today was one of those days I didn't have a whole lot that I had to do. So I basically stayed home, slept late, piddled around here and there. And if you've seen my Veda for today, you know that I was taking patterns, loose patterns that I have, putting them in different notebooks, that kind of thing. Still have a lot more to do, but it just, I don't know where I keep finding all these patterns, but apparently I have about 1,000 or more printed out that I want to do. It's dangerous. The only thing that I did get finished was another one of these blankets, with the two yarns held together. I'm still working on the brown U Afghan. Like I said, not a whole lot going on. I did find something while I was putting those patterns in, and apparently I had 2 skeins of this micro spun left over and in the color royal blue, and one was something that I had started, and I don't know what I was doing. There's no pattern with it. There was no pattern in the project bag. I have no clue what I was doing. For some reason, I think I was starting maybe a vest, only because of the way that this is going up. And I'm not sure if this was Tunisian or even just a plain crochet pattern. So I'm going to rip it out. And I'm just going to bring this all up and just rip it out and roll it around here. And then I'll roll it into a center pull ball. Yeah, this was just a regular crochet. It wasn't Tunisian. I'm hoping the weather is fine, where you're at. It's mostly been just cold here. My husband and I went out for lunch, and of course it was raining / snowing. It was mixed in. So you'd see the rain, you'd hear the snow hit, see the flakes on the windshield, and then they'd melt with the water. So I know there's spring around the corner. I've been seeing robins. I know Tuesday when we went over to Hoover's as we were leaving and it was snowing so badly, there was a robin right outside the store in the grass, and it had this look like, what's going on here? So I can imagine how it is for these critters that don't have a clue what's going on. That's got to be hard for the animals. Of course, we don't have any more animals at home. Our one cat passed away a couple of years ago around Thanksgiving, so we've just not gotten another pet. We decided we didn't want to get any more pets until we own our own home, which I think is another reason my husband keeps us in the apartment. There's been plenty of houses around here. He has this one rule. He wants a place that's close enough so he can walk to school. We park on an alley, so he walks across the one section of that half alley, and he's over at school. Now, there have been plenty of houses that are within walking distance that I've found that would give us house payment that would be cheaper than rent. But then again, my husband always says, nope, don't plan on retiring here. Why would I buy a house here? Which my thoughts are they sell fast enough, so I don't know why he just doesn't want to buy a house. Because even when things have to be fixed, he's the one that fixes them. Rarely do we call landlord for things that need to be fixed. Because they're simple things like the washer on the what's that thing that eats the food in the kitchen? On the garbage disposal. The washer's gone bad, then you just need to put in a new washer. He does simple things like that. Like if the toilet, has an issue and you just need to replace the arm or the ball for the flushing, he'll do that. They're cheap enough, and that way you don't have to wait for her to send someone out to say, yeah, we got to have that done. Let us call a plumber, and the plumber not be able to come for a day or two. That's generally, what gets him is the amount of time that you'd think she'd have someone that she had on call all the time, but she doesn't. So, like I said, not a whole lot of crochet have I gotten done. Did do some more sewing. I've been working using 4-inch blocks to make a quilt, a little lapgan, or possibly a twin. I haven't heard what we need the most of yet, so I'll be making something, for that. Always doing that stuff at home. I've also been working on getting some project bags cut out to get sewn together. I do sell handbags, and I decided I do want to add some project bags because there are some project bags that I want to make just for me. So in the meantime, while I'm doing that, I might as well take some of that extra fabric and make some and see if they can, see if folks want to purchase them. I tend to get a lot of people that like Penn State things around here. And I have one woman that she does a sewing business, and many times she'll have a client that has purchased, those kits where you can make the little totes in your team's colors. She's had a couple of times she has sent those over to me because she doesn't make bags, and she had no clue how to follow the pattern. And if you've ever bought one of those kits, the pattern, there are no directions that really come with those patterns. The pieces, they tell you how to cut them, measurements, but it really doesn't tell you how to put it together. And they're basically pretty simple. They're just, have a couple of pockets, and they're pre-quilted materials, so. And they're easy enough to make, so I'll put them together and for them, and then that person pays me for that, and that goes back into more yarn from our prayer shawl group. Because generally what happens is when I do get a bag or two sold, I'll put the money back and either just go buy yarn for the prayer shawl, bring it in to donate. Not always. Try to. Our prayer ministry, the average amount, and I'm going to go with just the acrylic yarn that is used. She says it takes about $50 worth of yarn to keep the prayer shawl going, and that's the pastor that runs Bald Eagle Presbyterian Church. But I haven't given her an accounting yet of the breast prosthesis program that I head up. And on an average, if you're going to include that, I would say there's probably about another $30 to add to that. But luckily with the prosthesis program, when someone contacts me, if I don't have any cup sizes that they need, I'll generally knit up or crochet another set for them, take them to them, and so far that ministry is paying for itself because people will donate the price of the yarn, which helps other women. I have had some women who couldn't afford to. I don't expect them to. You know, that the whole idea is just to make sure that women that need a solution to the hot, heavy silicone or the hot foam prosthesis have an alternative. And it always works out in the end. I mean, that is the one thing about these things. When you just take it on faith that it's going to happen, it happens. And there is no rhyme or reason. You know, sometimes I have a ton of requests, and there are times I have very few requests. So, and those times I have few requests, I send them off to Knitted Knockers so that they can get those out. Although many times they will, when they've got someone in Pennsylvania, they automatically contact me to let me know, you know, do you have a pair that you can send out directly from where you're at? And I do. It's one of the things I enjoy doing. Because as you know, my mother had breast cancer, and at that time, they were telling women that couldn't afford, because what they had were silicone. They didn't have foam breast prostheses. They were telling the women that couldn't afford them, because they were about $900 to $1,000 for the silicone, that they should just take a bag and fill it with birdseed or buckshot. And I'm sorry, I just can't imagine having any kind of bag next to your breast, because they didn't have, you know, you didn't get mastectomy bras the way that you do now with Medicare and Medicaid. So I can't imagine having a bag of birdseed or buckshot next to my scar. So, as you can see, I'm just rolling this up in this center pull ball. I do make cakes occasionally, but I don't care if it comes out more of an oval shape and less cake. The only difference is with the cake, you're going to do more diagonal wrap than just back and forth up around the base of the ball. There are several YouTube videos to tell you how to do this. Like I said, one of the things that I have a problem with and I do have an electric and I have a manual ball winder, but I don't like how big that hole in the center is. There's no reason for that big a post for it to be sticking on. The only other thing I do besides using my thumb is many times I will use my Nosta pen to wind the balls, cakes. Missing. Have a little problem with my voice today, you know, simply because there's so much moisture out there. That happens. I know this one isn't very much about crochet or knit, and I do apologize for that, but you know, sometimes you just lose your crojo, your mojo, your knit joe, whatever it's called, and you have other things that you have to get done. And that's basically what I'm trying to do, get things in this house done left and right. I tend to be a bit of a procrastinator. No. And when you procrastinate, you put things away where you don't know where they're at. You also tend to let things stockpile and pile up until they get unmanageable. Look, I'm almost done. Tomorrow, I have my quilting group at the fire hall. And from there, we go over to the other center that's in Lock Haven. It's called Lock Haven Community Center. And they've been trying to shut down our Mill Hall one for quite a few years. But there's a lot of people that don't like going over to the community center because for being a small area, there are so many kinds of feuds and, I don't like you, I don't like your kind, I don't like your whatever. So, being an elderly generation, many of them won't break down and just become part of. But I can understand that, and I'll take some pictures, video of the fire hall where we're at, so you can see how we are able to use rectangle tables. And then I will show you the difference with the Lock Haven Center. It is a new center. It was put together by Step Agency. They wanted to combine those two so that they could spend less money. But there's a lot of people that don't like going down there. They do not like the, I would say, unfriendliness. When you walk in the door, you can walk in the door, and unless you already know some people in there, they will make no effort to say hello, how are you, can I help you with anything. And, Mill Hall, when someone walks in the door, the first thing someone says is, can I help you? If they don't know them, they've never seen them in there before. And we're just a big friendly group. We tend to just welcome anybody in the door. We're crazy like that. Oh, and tomorrow morning our Fearless leader will be down at the regular community center. So I will be in charge of, and it's only because I volunteer, I will lead the Tai Chi group in the morning. And we'll get some exercise done, and then we do some quilting. That's about it. This is going to be a real short podcast. So I will see you tomorrow. Bye.